Chad Making Moves Batista is one of the most unique poker players you'll come across on the tournament circuit today. With a face that looks like he's too young to play and shiny grills on his teeth, he doesn't look like any other poker player out there. He's also distinctive in the poker world in that he dropped out of school in 7th grade and has spent time in prison. Batista has since cleaned up his act and says that poker was one of the driving forces in his transformation. Like many things in his life, poker came to him naturally. So naturally, in fact, that he claims to have never read a poker book in his life. His play is all based on instinct. Batista has always had a light chokehold of sorts on online tournaments, but lately he's been straight up killing them. In July alone, he won around $400,000 playing online poker. The largest chunk of this came from his first place finish in the first ever monthly $1 million guarantee on Full Tilt, for which he earned $213,000. He is easily one of the most top-earning tournament players online right now. We've got Chad Batista on the phone right now to give us an inside track on what makes him tick. How you doing, Chad?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
Good, I'm very good. So you've been kind of crushing online tournaments lately. What's the deal?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you've just been doing really well. Like, what have you been doing differently that you know of?
Nothing really different than I always do. Just sometimes, like when you win a couple big tournaments in a row, like and you go on a good run, it's like you win a couple coin slips at the right times and stuff late in tournaments,
Right.
Your situational poker works out when you win,
Yep.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
when you're on a bad run and you can't get your 70-30s or whatever to hold up, you can't win a crucial race, you go out in 12th place and you get like $1,500 or you don't win the 40K for first,
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on like one or two races. Sometimes during the year when you're running good, you win them. When you're not, you don't.
Well, I mean, you obviously haven't had a run this good in a while, I'm assuming, right?
What's that?
Have you had anything even comparable to this, like since?
Yeah, last year I won the Party Poker Million twice in 3 weeks, and like I won like everything else. One time I like final tabled 5 tournaments out of 5 tournaments in one day. Got first, second, third, and 3 of them at the same time, all the nightly tournaments.
Nice. Well, how would you describe your playing style?
Huh? How did I start my playing style?
How would you describe it?
I play aggressive, I pretty much play the situation. Like when you're deep in tournaments, I apply like a lot of pressures, like especially when I'm big stack, like to the big stacks,
Mm-hmm.
because they're playing scared, like towards like another big stack, like they know I can knock them out, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then so I put like a lot of pressure on these guys, knowing like they won't call because they're trying to make the final table. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people, they don't have haven't won like a lot of stuff, so they get these big tournaments like deep in them. They're playing pretty scared. They're not going to be making the repop all in with Queen 6 that they might make earlier on in the tournament now because it's deep in the tournament and the prize difference is like 3 or 4K, like a man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be doing that. Me, and I'll do it more because I know that they're not going to call you,
Absolutely. And you've said in other interviews that you've done that you play a lot based on instinct as well because you don't rely too much on the math so much as your gut feeling.
No, I don't even like know the math. Like I know the math, but in my own way, like when someone says you're getting 2-to-1 on your money there, like I don't even know what that means. I just know like what the pot is and what it's going to cost me and like what like their hand might be, like whether the percentages are like my hand against their random hand, you know what I'm saying? But, like I don't even calculate like pot odds and stuff like that.
Yeah, you just go with your gut a lot of the time.
Yeah, I don't even know when they're like you're getting 3-to-1 on your money. I don't even know what that means. Like I don't even understand like what they're calculating to get. I know what 3-to-1 means,
Exactly.
But like I don't know.
So you basically just don't waste your time with that kind of stuff.
No.
I mean, it's working for you, obviously. So.
Whatever I do, it works. Yeah.
What's one change that a player can make to quickly improve his tournament results, in your opinion?
Always play your hand from pre-flop to get information on like your opponent. Like don't like limp under the gun and then let it go, and then or like don't let a guy off in the cut like raise, like, and the blinds are big, and you have, like, an ace-queen, he's making, like, a cut raise, where his range is pretty wide, don't just call with, like, ace-queen, ace-jack, because you don't ever know where you're at. You got to always play your hand pre-flop to where you get, like, you can't just start, like, you can't, like, play a hand pre-flop and not be trying to, like, put your opponent on a certain amount of hands, and then play your hand on the flop, and then now, by the end of the hand, you're not going to be right that often. If you're starting your hand out how you play a pre-flop, if you're starting it out, like, where you're not gauging information on your opponent's hand, there's going to be too many hands that your opponent can have that you're not going to be able to narrow it down and be correct that many times.
So basically, you should always be
more
betting
often than
to get
not, you know?
information.
I don't know how to explain it.
No, I mean that makes sense. Basically, use all your bets to get information, and don't let them get away with making calls where you still don't know where you're at.
Yeah, and like disguise your hand. Rep what rep what you don't have, what you want them to think you really don't have.
Okay.
No?
Absolutely. Well, what's one of the most common mistakes that you see people making in these big field tournaments that you've been doing so well in?
Which one of the common what?
Most common mistakes that you see people making.
I don't really I don't know how to describe it. Like, people are just playing that.
They're just
people that play that, you know, like calling raises with hands like ace-8 suited and stuff like that.
From out of
calling
position.
a lot of raises, or a lot of like queen-jack suited and stuff like that. Like a guy will raise in like third position to like 150, and you'll have like 3,000 or 200, and you have like queen-jack suited to just flat call.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely.
And like you can't know where the hell you're at now. You just flat call the guy's raise. You don't know what the hell he's got now. He can have any kind of hands. And a queen jack, or like when it goes raise call, like people are trying to get in there with like king queen suited and stuff. I don't even get in there. Like it could be I have like 2,600. It could be like raise 250 call, and like I'll have like a king queen suited or ace jack suited. I don't even call. But people think people don't see my cards and what I fold. You know, like you can't call there. Because like you don't ever know where you're at. Those are the kind of hands that these people are calling raises with. So like a king queen suited, the board comes queen high. It's going to cost you too much to find out where you're at. You know,
right?
Kind of put yourself in like an easier spot if you don't just do that. Or like an ace jack suited. If someone raises under the gun, a lot of people will call like on the button, even when like the blinds are low. But now the board comes with an ace on it. And you can fold your hand after, like, you put in so many bets, but you're definitely not going to think your ace-jack's losing until it costs you a little bit and you find out that your opponent has a better ace, you know?
Right, for sure.
It makes it a lot easier on yourself if you just throw it away pre-flop.
Well, and kind of on the same note, do you think that people tend to overplay big pocket pairs?
I don't know. I don't really, pay much, I don't know.
What?
Like pre-flop?
Well, like pre-flop and post-flop. Like, for instance, someone has pocket jacks, and they'll usually come in for a raise pre-flop, and then the flop comes out all rags, and they're in love with their hand, even though...
Oh, yeah, definitely. They definitely do that. That's why. But, like, for instance, like when I was telling you, like, if it's raised 200, call, like I have an ace-jack suit, I'm folding, but if I have a 2-3 suit, I'm calling. Mm-hmm. Or like 3-5 suited, I'm calling, because these are the hands exactly. You flop a straight, or you got an open-ended straight draw. They don't put you on that kind of hand now that you call that raise pre-flop. You know what I'm saying?
And
so they're in love with their pocket pair, and half the time they're freaking dead on the turn or the flop or when you have a set. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the point that I was getting at. Like you have someone with pocket jacks, whereas a player like you might come in with a more disguised hand, and then they're in love with their pocket jacks. They overplay them. They fail to realize that it's just a big pair. I mean, it's just a pair. Anything that's better than a pair.
Or like a lot of things, people just overplay their hands anyway. Like a lot of people, they just like when they have like a king queen, the board comes queen high or whatever, right? The guy checks and they bet. I call or whatever, and the turn comes a rag, you know? Mm-hmm. I might be floating, I might be, or whatever they put me on, like, I don't know, I didn't make up like a flop, but say the turn comes. A lot of times, like, they just try to protect their hand, you know, and make like a big bet on the turn, instead of like checking behind in position and giving the opponent a chance to bluff at you on the river, you know? Or now that on the river comes out, that the opponent, he might check to you now, thinking you missed the draw if he doesn't bluff at you, and then now you bet your top pair with like throw a nice value bet out there, and he's going to pay you off like every time just because you check behind on the turn, because he thinks you're on a draw trying to get a free card, you know?
Right. your recent wins have bumped you into 6th place in the Online Player of the Year standings. Mm-hmm. Even though you're in 6th place, you still have the most winnings of anyone on the list.
Yeah, I know.
We had talked about that before. How does that make you feel? Like, what do you think of that?
I don't ever get credit. I won. I'm pretty sure, like, besides, like, the main event, I'm pretty sure I was one of the top, like, 2 or 3 winners in online tournaments last year. I was never even in the top 10 in any rankings or anything like that. Like, I won 2 Party Poker Millions in 3 weeks along with, like, a bunch of other stuff. I was barely even, I just finally got ranked, like, 2 months after that. I don't pay no attention to them rankings. The same thing with, like, any other site. I'm not number 1 on anything except for the legit scores.
Right.
Before I'm number 1.
Well, what's been the vibe on the forums since your wins?
What do you mean?
Like, has anyone been talking about them or anything like that?
Yeah, they're always talking.
I mean, people saying good things, bad things. I mean, there's always going to be haters on the forums, basically.
Yeah, there you go.
You're a
some say good, congrats, happy for me and stuff, and some are just like hate this,
Right.
That's how it is in everything you do. Have haters and fans and haters.
Well, what's your take on the current culture in online poker? Like, with all the forums and the people out there?
What do you mean?
Like just the people, the learning culture with the forums and all the internet players. Like, what do you think of them? Are they over pompous? Did you like the community?
No, I don't even know what that word means. You just said pompous. Like,
pompous. They're like egotistical. They're basically they're big headed. I mean, do you think a lot of them?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. They just I don't know. They just love to like talk. But there's a lot of other people that are different.
Yeah. So you have found a lot of good, decent people in the online poker community then.
Yeah.
How did you get started playing poker?
Well, I started playing, like, I always did, like, a gambler, but I used to play, like, a different kind of poker or whatever, like, about 3 years ago. I got out of prison, and then I had a couple buddies of mine that were doing the online poker thing, and one dude was doing exceptionally well. And I was like, holy hell. I'm like, you can make this money playing poker on the damn computer, So I was infatuated. I was like, I just watched him pretty much. And I pretty much just said, I didn't even know how to play, so I watch him, I wouldn't say nothing to him, and I would just try and repeat what he would do, Like, so when I have a situation, to me, when I was playing, I'd just be what would so-on do, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, like, and it just worked up from there.
Cool.
And, Ruthless, I met him, that person, the other guy also had, like, a little poker game, like 1-2 no limit, that I met Adam, and then we started to become buddies, and we were both trying to do it in poker,
Absolutely. So you guys both started about the same time.
We kind of came up together.
How often have you been playing live lately? I mean, especially with all the wins that you've had.
Me? I don't play live.
You what?
Really?
Well, you've been playing the World Series.
I've only played like 8 live tournaments in my life.
How many of those were at the World Series this year?
5.
Just 5?
No, 6.
So you've only played 3 otherwise?
I played two live events last year, and I final table both of them back-to-back days, and I won one of them.
The Orleans, the World Series of Poker Circuit event.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever played live.
And are you gonna? Is that gonna change much because of your online wins, or do you still prefer online then?
No, I don't like the. Well, see, I was on probation until last November. I got off probation. There was like the live tournament. The next tournament was the Indiana tournament. I played the 2K. I got 4th. Played the next day the 5K event or whatever, 2 days later, and then I won that. And I came back home. I hadn't went nowhere all the year. I don't really like it too much. I don't like to travel, really. I like to stay home. And then, pretty much all my friends and stuff made me go to the series. They made me go play the series, and, I had lost, 2-3 events. I came back home, and then I had a free entry to the main event. I won 9 main event seats online, and I still wouldn't pay $10K to play that tournament. But I had a free seat from the tournament I won last year, so I had to go back and play. And I played the 1K rebuy, and I got 5th in that.
Yeah, I mean, so do you regret your decision to play in the World Series, or no?
Huh? What happened?
Do you regret your decision to play in the World Series events, or no?
No, it was fun. It was straight.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for doing this interview with us, and I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Sorry, I'm not really. I don't know how to elaborate too well.
That's fine. That's
sorry.
Okay, man. Have a good night. Thanks.
You too, sir. Take care, buddy.
All right, that's all with Chad Batista. Thanks for watching the Online Zone on Card Player TV.